So now that we've got a clean model space with no geometry in it at the moment, we'll start drawing some geometry, and this time we'll start controlling the length of the geometry that we draw. So I'll pick up the pencil tool again, and I'll start to show you how you can draw a line of different lengths, exact lengths. So I'm giving you a starting point somewhere. You just got to click somewhere to say where you want to start drawing the line from. Then you bring your cursor out in the direction that you know you want to draw the line, along one of the axes normally, but it doesn't have to be. But let's say initially I want to go along that green axis by a dimension of exactly 6 meters. So while I'm stretching out the mouse in that direction, as long as I've got the direction accurate, the direction's most accurate, as I've got the direction just stretching out along there, I can type 6,000 and press enter, and it has now drawn a line that's exactly 6 meters long. If I wanted to finish drawing that line now at the moment, one of the best ways of doing that would be just to hit your escape key up on the top of your keyboard, press escape, and it's finished drawing that line. You're ready to start drawing another line. Now I wanted to show you another way of doing it as well as that, and this way now involves you just sketching out where you think the line goes without actually knowing the real dimension. So I'm going to start a new line through here to show you what I mean. I'm still going in that same direction. Let's presume that I thought 6 meters is somewhere. Obviously that's not 6 meters because the other line I've drawn above it is 6 meters. But if I just draw and click, now without moving my mouse away from that endpoint, while that endpoint is still showing up, I've already drawn the line. But the beauty with SketchUp is it always, as long as you don't go anywhere else and do anything else, it gives you a second chance to type in the value again. Like while I'm on top of that, I can now type 6,000 and press enter, and it changes the length of that line that I've drawn from my original sketched length to the length that I already wanted. So you've got two options. As you're drawing, get the direction right first, and either while you're rubber banding that direction, type the length you want it to be and press enter, or stretch it, rubber band it, then just drop and click the length that you wanted, but then without moving from that endpoint. Most important that you don't move from that endpoint, then type the length that you really wanted it. As you're typing these lengths, if you cast your eye down, in the case of my particular arrangement, if you cast your eye, my arrangement of my user interface, cast your eye down to the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see your length dialog box, your dimensions dialog box is showing up in that area there. So you can actually see what you're typing as you're typing these values. So that's how it works with the line tool. I'll just pick up my eraser and swipe over those lines to clean up the geometry again. Let's have a look at how that might work with the rectangle tool, and then the push-pull tool we'll have a look at. So if I click the rectangle tool, and another thing I haven't shown you just yet, when we've got clean geometry through here, you can just click anywhere and it will by default go in the red, green, blue axis direction. But there is one special point in SketchUp that you can snap into right from the start, and that is the origin. This origin here, where the red, green, blue axes have a value of 0, you can click on that point and use that as your starting point, where in the rectangle tool I'm dragging my rectangle tool out. As I'm dragging my rectangle tool out, cast your eye down in the bottom right hand corner of your screen and you'll see the dimensions changing as you move your cursor around the screen. So what you can do is you can now type, as you're rubber banding that rectangle shape, you can now type some real value, something like, I'm going to type 3600 separated by a comma. That'll take me in that red axis direction, and I might say something like 2400, and that'll go in the green axis direction. Then I press enter, and I've now drawn a rectangle that's exactly 3600 by 2400. Let me do that again, showing you that second option that I showed you earlier. I'll click another rectangle out here somewhere. I'll sketch a shape roughly what I think want the dimensions to be, and then after I've clicked there, what I really wanted it to be was something like 4200, 1200, and then press enter. And that resized the last rectangle I did to those dimensions. You can please yourself which one of those methods you use, but I recommend as starting students you give the second option a try to start with, because I find that students can control how they draw better by just sketching while they're looking and concentrating on the screen for the directions, then clicking the mouse. They've then got the direction and the rough sort of sketch shape, then straight away before you do another command, then type the dimensions you really wanted it to be. So you've got those two different options how you can control those dimensions. Might sort of reinforce that if we go to the next tool, because it works very much the same, and this next tool will show you that working will be in the push-pull. So if I go to the push-pull tool again, pick up this rectangle through here, now I can click and drag, and while I'm dragging that I can give it a dimension of, let's say, something like 2400, and before I let the mouse go, press enter, and that snapped that height there to be exactly 2400 high. I'll do that again to this one over through here, but this time I'll just roughly use the second option, roughly drag and drop where you think it is just by eye, and then after you've dropped it, before going on and doing anything else, then type an actual number like 1200 and press enter. It then snapped that height to be exactly 1200 high. So the two options are, as you're dragging you can type the number, then press enter, or you can just do it by eye and drop it, sketch mode, as if you're just sort of roughly positioning it by eye, and then after you've got it positioned you can then type the number, press enter, and it'll snap what the geometry that you've done by eye, it'll snap it back to that accurate dimension. So have a bit of a play with that. We'll pause the video once again.